What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to your channel. I'm a Toxic Gaming. Today I am here with my buddy, my good pal, my best friend, TheByesRegret. How are you doing today, man?
What's going on, Sean? What's going on, Toxin family?
All right, so this is part of the new series, as we discussed, to my channel called Speed Duel Speedcast. Now, this is something that you might remember I did before the channel even started, back in the good old days with Zayd Slater. So that this entire series is just going to be what my entire channel was originally supposed to be based around, which is just talking about speed duels, and finally just bringing it to the channel itself. And I thought, who best to bring it to the channel for my first guest, other than for the guy who I want to be following in my footsteps, eventually surpassing me in subscribers, TheByesRegret. So that's why you're here today.
Thanks. I'm excited to be here. I haven't been too in tune with YouTube as of recently, but trying to get back on it, and this seemed like a good way to start.
Yeah, I think it's the perfect place for you to start. And again, you have a baby on the way and everything, but the big thing, who are you? That's like my number one question I want to say today. Like everybody here should know who exactly you are and what's going on with your life.
So, for those that don't know, obviously I'm the Regret. Hi, I'm on Autoxin's channel. I am my real name's Dylan. For anybody that doesn't watch my channel, which if you don't, what are you doing? Um, I just I play Speed Duel. I honestly I play a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh. I follow pretty much every TCG that's currently here on the English side. I work in wireless and I have a wife and a baby. It's pretty much my whole shtick. I'm just a family man that likes to play card games, really.
I like it, and I like you, and I hope everybody else likes you too. All right, so I have another question essentially I have like five questions in total that we're going to be going over today. So the second question I have is how'd you start playing speed duels? What drew you to this game?
Okay, so for anybody that was with me in my channel's infancy, when I first started talking to Sean, when it was me, Sean, and Zayd at the time, it was like the big three of our friend group that was doing YouTube. I was an old format YouTuber. I did a lot of GOAT format. I think that was just primarily what I did at the time, which was GOAT. And I've kind of tapped back into that as of recently. I've been doing live streams of just grinding the GOAT ladder and stuff of that nature. But after a while, I had some personal strife happen, and it led me to learn that I wasn't the biggest fan of old format as a content creator. And I kind of branched out at the time. My good friend Ben, or our good friend Ben, uh, is he loves to try new TCGs, he loves to try new formats. So when the first GX box got announced, I had already bought them because of reprints for older formats, but I kind of sat down and was like, let's just try out Speed Duel. I had played it in the game's infancy back in alpha format when it was just the structure decks, and I think Servant of Lost Souls or Arena of Lost Souls, whatever the name of that set is.
Yeah, it's Arena of Lost
And
Souls.
yeah, and kind of went back to it and immediately got hooked and immediately got Ben hooked. And there were nights where me and him were staying up to like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Just we were playing Speed Duel for like there were days where I would get off work at 8 o'clock, go to his house, be at his house by like 8:30, and just play from 8:30 to like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And we finally drew up the gumption to speak to our locals and get them involved. And it took a while. It took like 2 months of talking to them to finally allow us to start. And now we're at a point with our locals where we average 5 rounds, we average 18 players, with our current highest player amount being like 28 at one locals. I don't know if this is a correct statistic, but it's one that we've kind of looked into. We currently run the largest speed duel locals on the East Coast, and I'm trying to find if it's the biggest one in the country.
I don't really hear too much about a lot of locals forming out here. Also, big shout out to Tournament City Games in Frederick, Maryland. That is our locals, baby. Um, but yeah, I think that you might be right. We definitely on the East Coast, we might be the biggest. I don't think a lot of people are going to be like topping us, but
I think there's one. I think Ollie's locals gets I think they average 14 to 16 the last time I talked to them. So they're like almost behind us, but their locals is like every other week. So it's like not as frequent. We can get a consistent 16 to 18 every Thursday at 6:30 for I think it's been 15 months now because our anniversary tournament was in June, so it's been 15 or 16 months.
Yeah, and that's incredible to even think that we've been playing it for so long. Because I came, what was it, the second week we started, and it was just me, you, and Ben. Was there even another person? Was it my
I
siblings
think
or
it was
something?
me, you, Ben, and Cody, and we were just kind of kicking it. We did eight mans for a long time. There were nights where there was just like seven or eight of us, and we were just like, let's just sit down, play a couple games, and then leave. And then very quickly, we just started to build and build and build, getting people from all the way out in the Glen Burnie, Columbia area. Uh, People that would come down from would come up from VA like Dan Cunningham or people like that who would just come from like different states. Like just thinking about that, something that we just kind of asked our locals about as like a passion project. Like, this would be something fun, eight mans. They don't have anything going on Thursdays. The tournament packs are kind of profit. Who cares? Just getting to hang out with friends on Thursday nights turned into like legitimate business. Now we have people coming from other states and we get recognized a good bit as a huge locals. We post our lists all over the SDL from time to time whenever we top kind of crazy with crazy stuff. That's another thing. Our locals isn't very meta driven. We don't like to just come in and everybody play My Precious Queen or everybody play Heart of the Warrior, even though Heart of the Warrior is kind of like the flavor of the week in our locals right now.
Yeah, everybody's on it, dude.
Everybody's on that deck
They're
right
like, I
now.
want to play Red Eyes.
I want to play Red Eyes. But no, I just think the big thing about our locals is that we're very open to newer players, so we get a lot of weird stuff. And if everybody's playing Rogue, everybody's got a chance to win. Not everybody's gonna come in on Cyber Angels, Alex,
my
and
my
just
brother.
get first.
Yeah. Yeah, I like our locals because of the casual aspect that comes with it. It would be nice to get some like decent playtesting in for like I'm going to YCS Richmond, so I want to get like competitive playtesting in. So I'm going to be showing up with my precious queen right now. But I know that at locals I'm going to sit across from somebody who doesn't really understand how spell cards work, and then you know I just sit there, scrape them, go to my next match. So there's hit and miss. Like I like the fact that we are a tournament that is nice for newer players to come in and learn how to play the game and interact with like decent players. Like the tag team tournament we did was phenomenal. That was a great idea where we took our pro players, put them with our brand new players, and had us all play the tag team tournament and teach the newer players how to play the game. Like that was so much fun.
Yeah, I think the tag tournament was a really cool thing. I think we did because we did what one or two tag tournaments for the release of the Paradox boxes. I think.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's what it was
I,
for.
I think we did it for the Paradox boxes. Hey, babe. What's it called? Yeah, we did two of them for the tag tournament, and then we did like 4 or 5 weeks of the trials events, and the trials events were a lot of fun as well. Just playing the stuff that came out in the GX boxes was something that I had a lot of fun with.
I don't think I really came to those. But also, I think that was also during a time where I was taking a break from Speed Duels, so that makes sense.
It
Uh,
was it, it was all just Dark Unity. Like I mean, like everybody and their mother was on Dark Gaia.
yeah, that makes sense. So my third question on the list is, what do you think of our current format in Speed Duels?
So current format, I haven't delved too much into. I've had a lot of personal things going on, but from my research and what I've played on ladder and stuff like that, pre-ban list, post-release of Streets, um, we have a big problem with the current format, and its name is My Precious Queen. I think the deck is I think the deck has fun alleys. I won't be the one to sit here and say if you're playing this deck you're not having fun. Because other people's definitions of fun could be different. But I think that at a competitive level, we're seeing such a domination. You know, YCS Cancun, YCS, it was what, Cancun, and what was the other YCS that just recently happened?
Uh,
Regard,
I can't
huh?
remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, so there have been two ICSs since the release of Streets of Battle City, and meaning we've had like 4 or 5 giant cards for Speed Duel by now, and the top fours of them always had 2 to 3 My Precious Queens in them, and it's such a glaring issue with the competitive level of this format. Now, mind you, I'm in no means a hyper competitive player. I'm not going to be the one to sit down and be like, well, I need to play the best deck of the format 100%. I'm going to build some rogue and call it the best deck of the format because that's funny to do. Because when I scrape a meta deck, people hate me for it. But
I actually
I
recently got a comment on my video. I just got it today. It was by a guy named Groppin, and he says that I don't think Token Stall is a fun deck to play or play against, but it's so powerful not to use. And finding counters against this deck is fun, so it's not that big of a deal. And I think that's a good mindset to have, and I think it's very similar to what you're saying here. Just like playing that deck and playing against that deck, it's trash. It's garbage. But finding weird scenarios like freaking Fly Fang, like that is such a cool card. Or like I'm watching this game right now and they equip Fairy Meteor Crush onto their Azana. Like weird stuff to just fight this format. I like it a lot. I like that mindset with it.
No, yeah, definitely. I like I said, I am very much a rogue or jank player, so I am all about finding the weird alleys of power. So like when our locals was all burn, I metagamed hard and played Gear Free the Iron Knight control because I'm that guy. You know,
Dude,
long before we had Iron Knight, I played Gear Free the Iron Knight and freed the Matchless General
I thought it was
because I'm
so
that
hilarious.
guy.
I
And I played against the 4 rounds we played that night. I played 3 burn players, and every person that plays Warrior Toolbox, whether it's whether it's a DD Survivor variant or anything, everybody's got one Gear Freed in their deck now because I just came in and sat down and said, if you have burn cards in your deck, you lose the game.
My favorite thing was that format, right? Is that I remember so vividly. We sit down where for this tournament and you're playing Gear Free the Iron Knight and everybody in this locals is playing Burn. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking the entire time, I'm like, I'm going to go host Toxic Legacy 4 literally this Saturday, and I'm not going to see a single Burn player there. And I was absolutely right. Nobody else was playing a single Burn deck, and it just goes to show you how vastly different our tournament is compared to what the actual meta is.
Yeah, no, that deck never made it off paper other than that locals. Like, I mean, I built that just to run house at one locals. It's like, I'm not like until Burn leaves our format and our locals, I'm not touching this deck again because I feel like an ass just playing it. You know what I mean?
I mean, they should feel like an ass for playing Burn, but yeah, that's not here or there.
Oh, we'll blame Ben for it.
Yeah, yeah, dude, I'm gonna fight him, dude. Round one, giant card Philly. I lose to his deck. That guy I played against was so cool though. I liked him a lot, but like I was so pissed that I lost to a deck that I literally did a profile on. I was like, this is nobody's fault but my own.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's like there was a thing in the SDL. Oh my god, this is a game I'm watching. This guy just flipped elegant egotist. Um, so this I was in the SDL a couple of days ago. I don't remember. I think I was in the machines tab or something like that. And some guy was asking about dark creation and like talking about his friends list. And I was like, oh hey, can I see the list? And they're like, oh, it's just a bunch of dark machines and then dark creation as a skill. And I'm like, oh hey, I pioneered that. And they were like, oh yeah, you did. I was like, I forgot my own deck for a minute. I was like, dude, this is like my crowning achievement. How did I forget this?
That's so funny. All right, so I have a really interesting question, and it's what single card do you think could fix this format?
Oh my god. Um, oh Lord, this is a weird one. What one single card that could fix this format? Um, yeah, damn, that one's. That one's got me kind of stumped. I'm not gonna lie. Uh, mm, I'm gonna be that guy. Uh, the eroded dark magician of chaos.
You think so?
Yes, I think now that card is just that. If this card was normal, basically it's just during the end phase. If this card was normal, special summon, target a spell in your grave, add it to your hand, and then if it destroys an opponent's monster by a battle, after damage calc, banish that opponent's monster, and if this card would leave the field, banish it instead. So I think if they stuck another errata on it, maybe, and made it not normal or special summoned, just make it when if this card was normal summoned this turn, because it's a level 8, so it doesn't interact with anything with the 7 skill, and it's 2 tributes, so I don't know many people that are ushering 2 tributes into this, but I think it could be a cool thing.
I think it's actually a really neat one. I don't know if it would like on its own be able to fix the format, but it definitely could curve the format in a way that would be able to bring it. And don't even errata it. Bring it as is. Let it be normal or special summon. We have no way to bring it back from the graveyard besides Shadow Reborn.
We could banish it off a lore and then discard a spell to different Dimension Master, special summon it back, and then add back that same spell.
Dude, that would be incredible.
That's like the one interaction I can think about of it is that you could do exactly that because different Dimension Master is one of my favorite cards of all time.
Right. I think a card that would definitely help the format or solve the format. I think 100% this card came in our format solved. It's Token Collector.
Oh my god.
this card should have been a secret rare in the box.
That should be the first alti. It's like 1 in every 5 cases, you know?
Yeah. Like this card would have been incredible. This is how you solve the format. I absolutely love this card.
That is how you get every My Precious Queen player to just never touch Yu-Gi-Oh again.
Yeah.
It's just okay.
Every time I use my skill, my opponent gets back this card that says I can't use my skill.
I also think that we could get more of the Machina stuff. So I was talking about this with Austin Davis like 2 weeks ago, where they could give us all of the small Machina stuff, so like Machina Sniper, Soldier, and Defender, and then just make it the skill Commander Covington.
Dude, I gotta show you my custom skills, because I actually have that as a custom skill.
No, you don't.
I do.
That is amazing, because I have been wanting those cards for forever. Because my whole thing is with the skill, you like discard a card. So like if you have one of the 3 pieces on the field, you discard a card, special summon them, special summon the other 2 you don't have, and then obviously you can find Force. So if you sack it for Force, Force gets an effect that like you could, it's kind of like kind of like ABC Dragon Buster in modern format, where you can just tag it out for the 3 pieces if need be. Like if it gets targeted by a spell trap effect, you tag it out for the 3 pieces.
Dude, so let me tell you what this skill says, right? So it says apply the following skills. You can reveal 2 of your level 4 or lower Machina type monsters from your hand, and if you do, add 1 Machina Force from your deck to your hand. And then the other one is special summon Machina Force from your hand, ignoring summoning conditions by sending Machina Soldier, Machina Sniper, and Machina Defender from your hand or field to the graveyard. For the rest of this turn, your opponent takes no battle damage.
We just made it a union combo, basically.
Yeah, exactly. I made it into union combination, and I mixed it with the Magnet Warrior skill.
I mean, I think that's like the only way that you can make that card even remotely playable. Like, I don't want them to port that stuff into this format and then make the cards unplayable. You need to give it a skill that does something.
Right. It seems
kind of like how they did with the Spirit of the Pharaoh, where they just literal custom card for Spirit of the Pharaoh, but that card's that whole archetype is just bad.
Yeah, it's so unfortunate. I wish that deck was actually more playable. It would have been a really cool deck to see. I wish that we didn't get Macrocosmos and that sets and the Banisher of the Radiance wasn't in the format and Joey wasn't in the format. That way that entire format would have been fun.
We got that card right when it was like one of the worst generations of this format, and I want to go on record and say that if you believe that Joey format was fun and skillful, you belong on a list.
Um,
That format was not Joey TP format was not a fun format.
right.
I had like literally the least amount of fun I've ever had at a YCS I had during that format because every round one opponent I sat down across from at both giant every person I played during the giant cards was on the same 20.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. ABL was a little bit different. I think that their entire list was interesting for it. They were on a whole bunch of stuff that I wasn't seeing anybody else for it, and it does come down to obviously your skill level and how much you practice and everything with the list when it's the Joey mirror. But yeah, it wasn't a fun format to be interacting in. I can honestly say that for a fact.
No, 100%.
Um, the next question I have is, what single card do you think could fix this format?
Didn't we just go over that?
Oh, my bad. Yeah. My last question is, what do you think the next set will be? That's my last question.
Oh, sorry, I was drinking some water. Um, we've had this conversation a couple of times actually. Um, I think our next set, I really want us to go back to GX and get the graduation. I think if we go back to GX and rather than just give it 8 decks like they've been doing, because that's totally a fun way to do things, just make it a box of cards. Just give us a box of like 150 to 200 cards that support archetypes we already have rather than porting stuff in. So,
Like Dual
for every
Devastator.
a speed duel devastator, that is a perfect way to look at it. Like there are like because I don't want every like to put in the example vampires. I don't want every vampire card they've ever printed for Yu-Gi-Oh. So I don't want them to give us, an entire deck of vampire reprints. I want them to port maybe 2 or 3 vampire cards, but I don't want all of them. I don't want them to just be ported as the bonus cards. If they just gave us a box of bonus cards and skills, like give us like a chaff box, you know what I mean? Give us like 150 new cards, and then every skill you've scrapped, every skill you've taken off the drawing board because it was either, stupid, didn't have enough support. Just give us what you've been working on. I don't care how well it's done. You know what I mean? The fact that we don't get very many releases from this format, but they still release 8, single 8 one-of deck boxes just isn't fun. You know what I mean? Like you know what they really need to give us? They need to give us back booster packs because that was a golden era for Speed Duel. I think that was a great time for Speed Duel.
I think that the issue that they had with the booster packs was that they thought that that itself was going to be able to let the format stand on its own. And like I can understand that if they gave us real cards and it wasn't like, here, spend $3 on 8 common cards that are all normal monsters.
Oh yeah, no.
I
If
know you
if they
can't see
gave
me, but
us
I was giving a thumbs up and a very bad smile.
Dude, I've been cheesing at my OBS camera for like 10 minutes at this point. I've just been making faces. But if they were to bring back booster packs and actually give us play like make the set more than 35 cards. Come on, guys. Like I don't want to open I have like 85 copies of the snake hair in my box right now. I don't want that. I want to open up a booster pack and feel like I'm playing a card game, not random bulk that's going to be a pain in the rear when I go to move. You know what I mean?
Right.
I want cards that do things. I understand they were trying to slow down the formats at the time and open it up to new players, make it a way into the new game, but that doesn't do anything if all I'm doing is summoning Acrobat Monkey and passing,
Yeah, true.
So
Sorry,
yeah,
I'm
if
eating this
I
if
if I if I if I were to guess on the next box, I think they'll give us either the graduation duels or, graduation duels is probably what we're going back to. We're going back to GX for a fourth box. But if my wants or maybe they'll stay in DM, and they'll give us the final season, the Pharaoh fight, where we'll finally get gadgets and stuff like that, and maybe that's where we get the Machina stuff. I don't know,
It would be cool to see them
but
bring back duo decks.
that would be cool. I think if they brought back starter decks, that could be really cool. But those would be my best guesses as to what we were getting next.
In my personal opinion, this is the only thing I want. I really like the idea of midterm paradox. I just think they really fumbled the ball and gave their opponent a full-on touchdown there. Um, I think the thing they should have done is release all four decks, 100 different cards, four decks in it, uh, and make them all structure decks. Make them all format defining decks. And they should all be based around fan favorite decks instead of it being based around um, anime characters. So what I mean by this is like one deck could be Light Sworn, another deck could be Gladiator Beast, another deck could be like Dark Worlds, and then Six Samurai. All four of those decks debuted in Generation X, GX. And so I think that bringing them as a structure deck format, like Speed Duel mini box structure, would be like insane. And then what they could do is they could, instead of like being like, oh, we can't do that because they're not tied to a character, so we can't release skill cards because they're tied to characters. It's like, I mean, yeah, you can. Like Gladiator Beast is a prime example. The Neo Spacian archetype is based around shuffling their cards back into the deck to fusion summon, just like Gladiator Beast are. So you just make Jaden Yuki have a weird effect that works when you fusion summon by shuffling materials back in the deck. I think that like you can release multiple characters from multiple eras of Yu-Gi-Oh. Like you can put Yugi and Jaden in the same box as each other, and then just throw them with a skill. Like Six Samurai is a good one to think about because it's like who's our warrior players who could like benefit from this. Well, Six Samurais are all different elemental characters. They all have different elements. So like Bashin Misawa would be a good one. They're all warriors, so Joey Wheeler could actually be involved with that deck. It's I think it's a missed opportunity to be scared of power creeping your format with structure decks of fan favorite structure decks or fan favorite decks in general. I think it's just a smart move moving forward to just be like, here is your brand new set. We're introducing 5Ds. Here's 8 decks, all anime character based. And then being like, all right, now, since you saw this, here's our new structure deck format of mini box. And then they release another 8 decks that are all based around characters. And then it's like, here's another 4 structure decks. I think that's the way it should be.
I think the ideology of them needing to put a character on the back of every skill card is non-deterministic. I think I think it's something that they could definitely stray away from, and nobody would care.
I don't
I
think a single
think
person
that
would.
if they I think if they stopped putting Yugi Moto's face on so much stuff, people might actually buy the format. I think that if they stopped centering it around, hey, we're gonna go back to old eras, people might actually play this format. It's like I think the reason why people are so gravitated towards old formats and stuff like that is because they can play the decks they like and not have to worry about stuff like Kashtira, the adventure package, hand traps, stuff like that. Hey, instead of giving us 15 Dark Magician prints for a format where nobody plays Dark Magician, give us a Gladiator Beast deck. Give us like 2 or 3 Gladiator Beast skills. Give us one that gives Esadari an effect. Give us one that makes Dimakari and Alexander playable, and give us one that I don't know. Give us one that just does generic. Give us the field spell as a skill. You know what I mean? I buy into that. I love Gladiator Beast. From the outside looking in, I would buy that in a heartbeat. And like you said, Lightsworn, uh, Lightsworn, Six Samurai, and even some more broad stuff like fairies. We have like 10 fairies in the format. We have 0 plant. We have 1 plant card in the format. Give me a random plant deck. I don't even care if you give me Gigaplant at this point, because I don't know anybody who's resolving that other than, hey, I summoned Gigaplant off Gigaplant. If they made this format more centric towards old format players than Duel Masters and GX and nostalgia baiting, if they stopped nostalgia baiting and started giving people access to the decks they love from previous formats, I think that this format would go a lot farther.
I think that just in general, just supporting like Edison or Critter format or Goat format, Hat format, like giving cards that are just nice for those Time Wizard formats everybody is playing right now because everybody thinks modern Yu-Gi-Oh sucks ass, is a good stepping stone moving forward. Also, do you want to hear what my Gladiator Beast skill is for my custom cube?
Sure.
All right, so for those of you who don't know, we talked about it a little bit earlier. I have a whole custom cube, a whole custom format of a bunch of different cards, and Gladiator Beasts are one of the decks that are in there, and we have skill cards for it. So the Gladiator Beast deck is called King Centaur the Gladiator Beast, and it's based around Rabid Horseman. And so it reads as Rabid Horseman you control or in your graveyard is always considered a Gladiator Beast monster. You can special summon one Rabid Horseman from your extra deck by shoveling one Battle Ox monster or one Mystic Horseman you control into the deck, but your opponent does not take any battle damage this turn. At the end of the battle phase that Rabid Horseman battled, you can return it to the extra deck from the field and special summon one Gladiator Beast monster from your deck.
Yeah, it's dope. You're tying nostalgia into it, obviously, because you're putting in a Rabid Horseman, a random vanilla, you're giving it an effect, and then you're giving us access to Gladiator Beasts. You know what I mean? Like, while you were reading that to me, again, I'm going back to plants because plants are one of my favorite archetypes in old formats. While you were telling me about that, I went through the 9 pages of plant moshes we have in advanced format and found at least 10 playable cards. You know what I mean? You could give us those 10 playable cards, 6 generic spells, maybe give us like Super Solar Nutrient or some random card like that, give us a couple of plant support spells, 2 plant support traps like they tree a Sacred Tree, and then give us 2 reprint traps that are just generically good. There's your plant deck. Like, they don't need to be multiples. I don't need to be doing Spore, Global, Synchro spammy things. But if I want to summon a, Queen of the Fallen Rose because it's one of my, or Fallen Angel of Roses because it's one of my favorite cards, I want to summon a Fallen Angel of Roses in my stupid 4,000 life point, four hand size skill card format. You know what I mean?
Right. One of the honest things I could say about this format in general is that I don't like how scared they are to move away from anime.
I think they're more scared to give up on the nostalgia because they think that it's a guaranteed sell, when in reality, when speaking for both the Speed Duel player and the old format players, if they were to print some of the old format stuff that's way too expensive for no reason, I'd play this game. If I was just an old format player and I had never touched Speed Duel before in my life, and they printed me, I don't know, they printed me something that's got, I don't know, print me Phoenixian Cluster Amaryllis and a Speed Duel Common and a Speed Duel Secret, I would immediately buy into this format because I guarantee you that nobody's destroying this thing to deal themselves the 800, and we don't have all the pieces that make it crazy in Edison. But if I can summon Phoenixian Seed and immediately sack her for Cluster Amaryllis, I'm going to do that because I like plants in Edison. But if they hand me a Speed Duel box that has that in it, and I can get a Speed Duel Secret Amaryllis, I'm either going to buy the singles or I'm going to buy the boxes and get one myself.
Right. All right, sir. Well, that is all the questions I have today, and I'm running out of time before I gotta go to work. So,
sorry, I rambled a little bit there.
No, you're okay. It makes for good content, and now everybody knows who you are and can go subscribe to the TheByesRegret channel. And if you don't, well, I guess you're a meanie.
You're a meanie.
No, but I appreciate you coming on and making the time today to come on for the first episode of the podcast, man. It means a lot to me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I had a great time.
Yeah, man. Of course. Anytime. Well, if you all enjoy this type of content, make sure you leave a like on this video. Subscribe to not only my channel, but to TheByesRegret as well. And above all, I want you all to have a great day, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye. All right. I think that...